Today I wanted to talk about how we are going to attempt to save Social Security in the future. Here, we're looking at cuts here in the very, very near future. Time flies when you're living on Social Security alone, particularly. My name is Ed Weir. I'm the third. I ran the third business Social Security office in the country. This is a live Q and A. You can tell it's a live Q and A. But anyway, so I'm going to talk about what the issues we're going to be dealing with, and then I'm going to open it up. There's going to be a live Q&A, so we'll talk about all the different ideas out there how to save Social Security from cuts coming very, very soon. And if you have any other questions about all things Social Security, retirement, disability, survivor benefits, all the rest of it, I do this several times a week, making sure you all get every benefit that you earned. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. There are a lot of proposals that have been around for decades and decades and decades, um, and we just been sitting on our hands. Our politicians just been sitting on their hands, doing nothing. And if we don't do something, it looks as though in a 2034 or 2035, we're looking at anywhere from between 17, 20, 21% cuts. This is based on the CBO estimates and the Social Security Trustees report. I'll put the link in the description, so you know it's just not me talking about this. This is don't shoot the messenger. We've known about this for decades and decades, that the trust fund is going to run out. And why is the trust fund running out? I'll get into that a little bit so we can kind of establish a baseline of our discussion here today. But if the proposals that are out there get enacted, then the trust fund is going to run out even sooner. We're looking at about 2031. And if that happens, then the cuts are going to be about 33%. And people always say, well, it doesn't matter to me. I'll be grandfathered in because I'm already receiving benefits. No, 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 no. You may be or you may not be. Nobody knows, because this has never happened since 1935. Social Security has sent out checks and none of them have bounced. But in 2031, 2035, Social Security is still going to be here. Social Security will be here for the next 100, 200, 300 years, as long as we, don't give it to Wall Street. But I guess then it'll be private Social Security. But Social Security will always be here as long as there are people working and paying FICA taxes. The issue in 2031 or 2034 or 2035 is that there's less money coming in. And if there's no trust fund there, there's no savings there to make up the difference, then that's where we're going to get the cuts of 17, 20, 33%, and that across the board for everybody. So I get a lot of comments, and as well, if they haven't stole the trust fund or whatever the case may be, the trust fund is still there. It's the full faith and credit of the United States. I hear some people laughing already about that, but it is the safest investment in the world. Your 401k is probably in those treasury securities. Warren Buffett just cashed in a bunch of Apple stock, and he said, where I need to put it in the safest place. And where did he put treasury securities? Canada has a bunch of treasury securities. Pension funds have treasury securities. Japan, Luxembourg, all these countries throughout the world, everybody in the world thinks U.S. Treasury securities are the safest in the world. That's because they essentially are as of right now. So the trust fund is still there. Right now, it's about $2.6 trillion. And people say, well, what happened to it? Well, the issue is demographics. Less people are paying into it. They built up the trust fund, and they started building up this particular trust fund in the 1980s. And they looked into their crystal ball and they did all their calculations and carried the one and did the long division. And they say, okay, well, this is the trust fund that will sustain the baby boomers. And they figured this is how much they're going to need. But they missed two things. One is that we have a lot less kids, and because we have a lot less kids, a lot less people pay into Social Security, and it sucked down the trust fund sooner than we thought. The other one is all the people that are essentially not paying into FICA. The FICA comes out of your check, and part of it, 6.2%, goes to Social Security, and the other 1.45% goes to Medicare. And then your employer pays the other half of that. But there's people, a very, very small percentage of people, that don't pay FICA taxes on anything over $168,600. I'm sure 99.9% of you out there pay FICA taxes on every penny you earn. If you make over $168,600 this year, you don't pay FICA taxes anymore. You don't pay the Social Security part. You still pay the Medicare part, but you don't pay the Social Security part unless you're really rich, and then you don't pay any taxes at all. But that's a whole different issue that I won't get in here today. But that's the people in the 1980s that did all those calculations. The Greenspan Commission under Ronald Reagan, they didn't foresee all of that money that we used to make going to the top, and those people not paying the FICA taxes. So those are the two main drivers of the trust fund being depleted sooner. So this money is not going to illegals or Ukraine or something like that. Last year, about 5 or 6% of your Social Security check, if you're receiving Social Security, about 5 or 6% of your Social Security check last year came from the trust fund. $70 billion was taken out of the trust fund last year. Probably this year it's probably going to be, maybe $100 billion taken out of the trust fund. So this year, maybe the numbers aren't in yet for the end of the year. But probably 6, 7, 8% of your check comes for the trust fund. So those who say that the trust fund is just useless IOUs, then take that 7% out of your check. That's not real money, and give it to charity, or click on the little link below and give it to me. I'll give it to charity for you if you believe that's fake money. So, all right. So those are the established things. Those are facts. I'll put the Social Security Trustees report in the description, and I'll put the CBO estimates in the description as well. And that way you can understand. I'm just not giving you an opinion. This is based on actual calculations. Okay, so here are on the screen there. I've got our possible options. How do we prevent these cuts from happening for us and our kids and our grandchildren? We can either cut benefits, which is if we don't do anything, that's how it's going to be solved. It's just they're going to cut benefits across the board, 17%, 21%, 33%. So if we don't do anything, and you hear politicians that say, I'm not going to touch Social Security and Medicare, I'm not going to touch it. Okay, well, that's fine, but it needs to be touched. Because if you don't do anything over the next several years, then cuts are just going to take place automatically. So by saying, I'm not going to touch it, just means I'm just going to let it go ahead and let you all get your cuts. So, have fun. So something has to be done. All right, what do those things need to be done? I'll just kind of read them off here, and then y'all chime in. Make sure you type in the live Q&A there and tell me what you think. So we can increase the FICA tax. Right now it's a 6.2%. We can make it 7% for everybody, 8%, 9% for everybody. We could cut programs. No more spouse benefits, no more disability, no more divorced spouse benefits, no more early retirement, those type of programs in terms of benefit programs. We can raise the retirement age like they did in the 1980s to 67. We could raise it again to 68 or 69. But when you do that, you're also cutting benefits. Every year you have to take your benefits early. That's a 6.5% cut. So the people that are born in 1960 and after, guess what? They're getting a 13% cut in their benefits. Whether they take it at 62 or 64 or 67, their benefits have been cut by 13% because they had to wait 2 extra years. We can means test. What does means test means? It's basically, hey, if you're going to receive retirement benefits and you're making, $100,000 someplace else, you're not going to get your benefits. We're not going to give it to you. Or even after your full retirement age. Or if you've got $1 million in the bank account, we're not going to give you your spouse benefits or something like that. We can raise or eliminate the FICA cap. That is what I mentioned, the 168,000. We can say, hey, everybody pays FICA on all their money, just like us regular, Joe Sixpacks. We can grow the economy, trickle down economics. If we just give everybody great jobs and they make a lot of money and they'll pay more FICA taxes and somehow miraculously be, you can tell them, anyway, that's been tried for the last few decades. We can privatize Social Security. We can say, okay, well, forget about it. We're not supporting, our politicians aren't doing anything. We'll just go ahead and give it to Wall Street. We can encourage immigration, legal immigration, in the sense of we need more people working and more people paying FICA. So if we get more people in, we can't, have babies immediately. But maybe if we encourage more immigration, more people will pay into FICA. We can increase taxes on benefits. Right now, that was started in the 1980s. If you make over a certain amount, most people don't. Well, not most, about 40 or 50% of people don't pay taxes on Social Security. The ones that do, we're looking at probably about a $60 billion that go into the trust fund from those taxes. So we can increase that. Now it's up to 50% or up to 85%. So we can increase taxes on Social Security benefits to put back into the trust fund. We can increase efficiency and of everything. I ran the third business Social Security office in the country, and all offices can be a little bit efficient. We'll talk about that. We can reduce fraud, people that are not getting benefits that they're supposed to, disability benefits, retirement benefits, spouse benefits, or whatever the case may be. So those are some of the things being talked about, and these are the things that have been talked about for decades. And for whatever reason, well, y'all know the reason, um, is that we're just not taking action on it. Okay, so let's go ahead and open public comments. And what I'm going to do is I'm throw all these out there, and y'all type your remarks and comments. And then this is a live Q&A, so this will be in the live Q&A chat session. If you're watching this on a recording or later, just type your comments in the comment section. And I'm going to send this to the powers that be, President-elect Trump, Elon Musk, I guess, whoever out there, and see that, let people know what the public is thinking about. All right, Nothing Man says just raise the cap, even to 400,000 only. Bezos, Gates, and Cuban don't care if the cap is raised. Who is the GOP trying to protect? Yeah. Um, Yeah, that was the policy proposal from President Biden and Vice President Harris it's actually not to, their proposal to save Social Security and avoid the cuts was um, from like this year, from 168,000 to 400,000, they would keep it the same. You pay the 6.2%. But after 400,000, then people paid the 6.2%. I think that donut hole type thing was kind of a political thing. They didn't want to raise taxes on, seem to raise taxes on the middle class. But yeah, so there's that. So that was a proposal by those two. Okay, and he also has a question. Full retirement age is next month. With election results, I decided to draw and invest 2/3 of the money rather than defer based on trust fund outlook and the Musk machete. Any thoughts? Yeah, that's nobody knows what's going to happen. But yeah, we've been putting off this for decades. We had all these solutions. I prefer one or two more than any other. But yeah, it's one of those things where you kick the can down the road. Politicians do it because ultimately, I think both parties want to privatize it and give it to their buddies at Wall Street so they can, get out of Congress and go to Wall Street and say, hey, be in charge of, the Social Security investment fund in Wall Street and get, millions of dollars. But that's only, as we used to say in the Marine Corps, if I wanted your opinion, Ed, I would give it to you. So there's that. There's my opinion. Monty, I lost a good friend from a car accident. He was married for 38 years to a great woman. I spent time with her and helping with the repairs around the house. Okay. All right. All right. Let's see if there's a question here. Okay. And she was a stay-at-home mom and does not have any Social Security credits. I don't think this is fair as long as I've been married for 38 years. Okay. So she's now 68. She does not qualify for anything of his Social Security. No, that's incorrect. Um, because if you were married to someone for 10 years or longer, then you're entitled to spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, surviving spouse benefits. If you were married to someone while they were living or when they passed away, then you only had to be married to that person for 9 months. But if it was a divorce type situation, you had to be married to the person for 10 years, and that person was married um, for 38 years. But it looks as though we married 4 years later. Okay. So she's remarried. Okay, that's yeah. If you remarry, then that stops the benefits. If she's single, then she can go ahead and get those benefits. Unless, again, that's why I do these live Q&As, because there's exceptions, the exceptions, the exceptions. With survivor benefits, you can remarry after the age of 60 years old. So How would I save Social Security? Tax very big corporations and the very rich fairly at the same rate teachers, plumbers, small business owners, and ordinary employees are taxed. Yep. So that would be raise or eliminate the FICA tax. Yep. I pretty much I've been doing these for a while, and everybody when they chime in, that's usually the solution that pretty much everybody gives. Oh, thank you very much. 9.99 support. I really do appreciate it. Got me my coffee IV for the day. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Will I lose my Social Security Medicare? I am 79, disabled, and terrified. I certainly hope not. I hope we can convince politicians and instead of moneyed interests to save it. Um, the commissioner of Social Security just resigned, and I was watching his congressional testimony, and he was talking about, one of the ways benefits are being cut right now. And how they're being cut right now is they are preventing access to your benefits by reducing customer service at the Social Security offices. Again, I know I ran the third busiest Social Security office in the country, and we were always inundated. We never had enough time to do what we thought we needed to do because we just didn't have the staff. And that's essentially a benefit cut that's happening every day. When you can't get your benefits in time or the right check, then you're getting a benefit cut. And in terms of Medicare, um, close to 2 million Medicare plans have been canceled for 2025, and a whole bunch of others have been downgraded. Medicare season is pretty crazy. So if you need help, where is it? Reach out to my partners at Chapter Medicare, and they will give you a hand with Social Security Medicare. So in terms of Social Security, I certainly hope not. You're on disability. Remember, because you're 79 on disability, you're no longer on Social Security disability. When you hit your full retirement age, 65 and 65, 66 and 6 months or whatever the case may be, your disability switched to regular retirement benefits. So you no longer have, those continuing disability reviews you used to get. You no longer, have any work limitations. So I get a lot of people that says, "Yeah, I'm 80 years old," and a friend of mine said, he'd give me a job, doing something very, very easy, and I make a few bucks, and it was pretty awesome. But I didn't take the job because I didn't want my disability to stop. No, you're not receiving disability anymore if you're receiving regular retirement benefits. So Sharon, if you're able to, make a few bucks here and there, definitely go for it. And watch I'm doing a special on Saturday on living on Social Security alone. So I've got like 50 different programs I'm going to go through that might help you out. So make sure you join me. And everybody out there, please join me on Saturday, 3 o'clock West Coast time, 6 o'clock East Coast time, with all of your recommendations for help out there. So if you have some, food bank in Dallas, Texas, please put it up there. Hey, there's a great food bank in Dallas, Texas, Golden Harvest or whatever, over there on, Lamar Avenue or whatever the case may be. And yeah, we'll get a database together and see how we can help you out. But in terms of your Medicare, make sure you're in the right Medicare for next year so you can save as much money as possible. Um, but I'm going to keep up on all things Social Security and Medicare. And if there's anything crazy politicians are going to do, I'm going to bring y'all's attention to it so you can call them up and give them a piece of your mind. What is the dollar amount you can make on SSI? I'm 71. SSI, so that's the welfare based program, Supplemental Security Income, celebrating its 50th anniversary. Started in 1974. So SSI. SSI comes out of the general fund, doesn't come out of Social Security FICA taxes. But the SSI is only $943. So are you receiving SSI or are you receiving regular Social Security benefits? If your benefit is more than $943, then you're receiving just regular Social Security. And because you're 71 years old, you can make, let's say, $1 billion this month. So there's no limit. I am on disability and I have Medicare. I want to travel to other countries and stay more than 30 days at a time. Yeah, that's if you're on disability, you got to make sure that you keep in touch in case you get one of those CDRs, the continuing disability review. If you don't return it, then your benefits might be stopped. Medicare, for the most part, doesn't cover anything outside the United States. There are some Medicare supplement plans, the Plan N and G, that have like kind of limited coverage, emergency coverage outside the United States. I see some of them with like 50,000 up to $50,000 of coverage outside the United States. Um, are benefits for divorced spouse retroactive if you file 7 years later than your divorce? No. Yeah, unless you can prove that you called Social Security 7 years ago and they gave you incorrect information, then you've got what's called a protective filing. But if you didn't, if you just realized because you were watching my awesome show, and most importantly, you're watching my awesome show because everybody else before you liked and subscribed and shared and all that kind of good stuff. That's how this information gets out there. It's not me. I'm just sitting here, babbling on. It's y'all that get this information out there. But probably not in terms of divorce spouse benefits. But there are certain cases where they say, hey, when you filed for benefits on your own record, it's called deemed filing. You should have filed for benefits on that other person's record. So we're going to take you back to that time. So yeah, but I would definitely call Social Security and I would, get that divorced spouse benefits as soon as possible and start that out and ask them about that. If you contacted them 7 years ago or a year ago or 6 months ago and they dropped the ball or somehow, then tell them, hey, I want my back pay. Um, and also ask them about deemed filing and says, hey, shouldn't I actually have filed back then? Oh, yeah, yeah, we should have made you file 7 years ago. And because we didn't, we'll go ahead and backdate you. It's going to it'll reduce your monthly benefit, but you'll also get all those checks ahead of the game, right? So there's that. Barbara, I retired at 62, was told by my eye doctor that I have limited time to apply for Medicare. I turned 65 on August. When is my absolute drop dead date to apply for Medicare to avoid being penalized? For Medicare Part A, Part B, it's 3 months before you turn 65, the month you turn 65, and 3 months after you turn 65. So it's a 7 month period. So yeah, you got to go ahead and get rocking on that immediately, if not sooner. And then you have to figure out what you're going to do to cover up all the gaps of original Medicare. Either a Medicare supplement, which is the ones I recommend, an N or a G plan. But if it's not in your budget, then a Medicare Advantage. You just have to keep up on it and make sure those companies are doing the right thing. And Chapter will help you out with that. Why would anyone defer from full retirement age to age 70 based on the current trust fund and political climate? Doesn't seem to make sense. Yeah, if you're just basing it on something like that, yeah, it doesn't make sense. I used to never ever say that. I used to always say, "Yeah, don't worry about it. It's just scare tactics. It'll be here." But yeah, now I thought, I thought it's kind of gallows humor there, I guess a little bit. I thought 10 years ago that we would make our politicians do something, but I guess we are, yeah, too interested in falling for their tricks of the shiny balls. It's blame this group or blame this other group, and the trust fund is just we're just focused on not serious issues. Um, I asked before, but it's not clear. Can I make money on SSI? Yes, but I did a video on this, and there's a lot of limitations. Check out that video right there, SSI and working. So I've got over 800 videos. I did those so not too long ago, about a month or 2 months ago. So go in there and check out that video on SSI and working. So there's a lot of limitations when you're on SSI, because that is a welfare-based program. So pretty much every dollar you make, it's pretty much offset to a certain extent from your Social Security benefits, because it is a welfare-based benefit. My husband passed away. I was married previously greater than 10 years and was told I qualify for my ex-husband's benefits, which are higher than mine or my late husband. Is that true? And when can I collect, I guess? Yeah, you can, when you file for benefits, that's one of the things that Social Security employees ask you. They're supposed to ask you. They almost always do. Wherever you're married, 10 years or longer, or married that ended in death. And if you say, yes, I was married 3 times, one person passed away and the other two are out there alive and kicking. So the Social Security employees is supposed to check. Okay, let's go through them. Number one, number two, number three. And they say, oh, number two is the winner. You get more money off number two. And then they file for benefits. Yes. And then if the situation changes, another one passes away, and that's a higher benefit, then you can switch. So you always get the higher benefit. For most of all of us over 65, have no worry about our Social Security benefits as will probably be die before it is exhausted. Come on. We're going to be around. And you talk about 60 is the new 30. The U.S. economy will not last 100 to 200 years before it fails. Okay. If I draw IEDS, which is independently entitled divorced spouse at 62, and my ex-husband dies when he's 75, will I get 100% of his, or will it be less because I got checks before my fraud? It depends when you start those benefits. So if you're 63 when that event happens, then you'll get reduced. If you're your full retirement age, then you'll get the full 100%. So it doesn't matter when you started your regular spouse benefits. I'm 62 and my ex is currently receiving his benefits. Will I be penalized for taking the independent divorce spouse benefits if I'm still working? Yeah, anytime you take benefits from Social Security, early retirement benefits, early spouse benefits, early surviving spouse benefits, then you have to limit your income. For next year, it's $23,400. Anything over that, Social Security holds back $1 for every $2 you go over. And once you hit your full retirement age, then those things change, and you know, then you can make as much as you want once you are past your full retirement age. What time on Thanksgiving is your Q&A? Yes. So I am trying to give y'all an ability to give an olive branch to those relatives that you're going to meet on Thanksgiving to say, hey, the politicians have done a phenomenal job dividing us. That's how they control us, is by dividing us. So they're very successful there. So they're really doing their job there by dividing us. But we're going to meet at Thanksgiving, and a little olive branch. If you've got an aunt or uncle or grandma, or grandpa, and you say, hey, I don't like the way you voted, but you're still my grandpa, and have you checked your Social Security? Do you know, veterans benefits? Do you know about the independently entitled divorce spouse benefits? Do you know about survivor? Do you know about disability? And well, come on over here. Ed's live from 2:00 West Coast time. I'm going to do it. It's not going to be Jerry Lewis telethon type 24 hours, but I'll do it for over a couple hours. And I'll answer as many questions as I possibly can. And hopefully that heals a little bit of your family. Yeah. So 2:00 West Coast time was at 4:00 East Coast time. Does a veteran need to do anything special before or during applying to start collecting Social Security? Just make sure you tell them that you did serve in the military. Congress has decided to give you a little bit more wages, $300 a quarter when you were actually working. It doesn't make a whole bunch of difference, but hey, a buck's a buck is a buck. So if you're about to file, make sure you tell them. If you're a veteran, that's part of the claims process, the application process, is they ask that, but make sure you tell them. If you're already receiving benefits and you don't know whether you included that, call the 800 number and say, hey, did you include my military service when you calculated my benefits? At full retirement age, can I continue working full time and collect Social Security? Can I make all the income I want without reducing my Social Security? Yes, 100%. At your full retirement age, you can make $1 billion a month, and it won't negatively affect your Social Security benefits. It will probably increase it. We need to tax capital gains, unearned income, in addition to earned income. Yes, that was one of the proposals the current administration, President Biden's administration, had. Was they realized that most people that make millions and millions of dollars don't get it in regular W-2. They get it in other ways, and that was that was also addressed, but I think that's not going to happen. But unless we speak up, so optimistic, aren't I? I'm 63, currently collecting small spouse death benefits. I'm getting a $70,000 lump sum from a pension. Can I still collect her benefit? Yep. Doesn't affect that's not considered work. It's just a lump sum from a pension. So that will not affect your benefits from surviving spouse benefits. Yeah. So you're good. Doesn't affect Social Security at all. If you were receiving SSI, which doesn't sound like you're receiving surviving spouse benefits. So SSI, the welfare supplemental security income, it would, but in your case, you're receiving surviving spouse benefits, widower benefits, same thing. So it doesn't affect it, whatsoever. If he started drawing before his full retirement age, will that lessen my survivor benefits? If he didn't begin drawing until 70, will that add to my survivor benefits? Yeah, survivor benefits are very difficult to calculate. There's a lot of exceptions and variables. So if your deceased spouse to started collecting benefits early, then they have what's called the widow's cap, the widow's limb, rib limb, which may max out your benefits to 82.5% of that person's benefit amount. But if that person never received benefits or was receiving disability benefits or retired at pretty much their full retirement age, then you get 100%. If they waited till 70, then you get 124%, basically. Well, not 124. They their benefits increased by 24% because they waited, an extra 3 years to get those delayed retirement credits, and a surviving spouse gets those delayed retirement credits. A current living spouse does not receive those delayed retirement credits, but surviving spouses do. Can a 60-year-old who had a stroke still being disabled by type 2 on SSI because of lack of work history get Medicare groceries allowance? If all you're receiving is SSI, then no, because you do not get Medicare from SSI. But maybe, yeah, you had to be insured for SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, because that's how you get, regular Medicare. And you don't get Medicare for after 2 years. So, but if you do have Medicare, because sometimes the states buy you Medicare or something like that, but 60 depends on your state. Probably not. Yeah, you probably have to wait till 65 unless you've got some SSDI paid into SSDI. Um, so, but in terms of the Medicare grocery allowances, so let me a little warning out there. You probably, I can't control what YouTube ads show on my videos, but you probably saw some video that says, "Hey, call us up. We've got this $6,000 grocery card. It's so awesome. You get free ice cream and unicorns for the rest of your life." It's Medicare, which I guess supposedly, maybe, possibly, Dr. Oz is going to be in charge of. But currently, Medicare says, "Hey, you can't do that. You can't give that kite and bait and switch type thing." What happens is these companies, agents, health insurance, Medicare insurance agents and brokers and companies, agencies, they find the best grocery card in the country in Paris, Texas, where I went to high school. Anyway, so for instance, just an example here. So let's say Paris, Texas has one free ice cream and unicorns and $5,000. Then they advertise it to the entire country, and everybody else in the country calls and say, "Hey, I want free ice cream." And they say, "Oh, sorry, you don't live in Paris, Texas." And then they give you the hard sell. So yeah, they're not supposed to do that starting October 1st, but yeah, now there's still some bad actors out there. So do those grocery cards exist? Yes. Those grocery cards, the over-the-counter drug cards, yes, they do exist. But it really depends on your particular area and what type of plan you're on. So reach out to Chapter and they can see if if one is available in your area, see if your plan has been downgraded or canceled, or see if there's anything better for you for next year. Because remember, all that Medicare money is your money that you paid into decades, and Chapter doesn't charge you anything for that help. It's free. Um, but if you call them up, you might have to be a little bit patient because there's millions of people that had their plans canceled, and so they're kind of inundated with calls right now. So be a little bit patient. We've got until December 7th, but please do not wait until December 7th. Call. I sound like a commercial, but call now, because Thanksgiving Day they're going to be closed, and then after that it's going to be 24/7 craziness. People, the annual meeting of the Procrastinators Club. So, all right, let's see here. I'm jumping around a little bit. FICA tax those making over 168,000. Yeah, no, no, no. They want us dead before we collect. Yeah. Eliminate the tax cap on Social Security. This is the best solution. I don't care how much you make. Yeah. So yeah, one of the things politicians do is they focus on, oh yeah, Social Security is gave this one person disability that wasn't entitled to disability. They go anecdotal evidence and they say, well, that's the reason this trust fund is going because this one person is getting benefits that they're not supposed to. Oh, come on. Or they do this strategy. I'm not sure who did the quote. I think it was Voltaire that um, the perfect is the enemy of the good. So they say, hey, if we raise our if we eliminate that cap and everybody pays the same, that's not going to solve everything. That's not going to keep it solvent for a million years, and Ed's not going to get his hair back. And so, if it's not going to solve everything, then we shouldn't just do it. And let's just go ahead and have some committees and talk about it for a few more decades until you know, yeah. So the perfect is the enemy of the good sometimes. So is eliminating the FICA cap 100% perfect? No, but the estimates I've seen, it's going to get us like 80% there. And so for several decades, we should be good if that happens. And then hopefully we start having more kids or demographics or whatever the case may be. So snap the cap. Yes, smash the cap. I retired 8 years ago at my full retirement age. My wife will retire soon at her FRA for retirement age. She will get half of my amount. Is that the amount I got 8 years ago, or is it what I am currently getting, the original amount plus COLA? It's spouse benefits are based on your PIA, your primary insurance amount, which is your amount if you had waited for your full retirement age to collect benefits. So, which is now, yeah. So, well, you did collect at your full retirement age. So yeah, it's based on now. So, whatever your primary insurance amount is today, this year, that's what they look at. And thank you for that question, John, because a lot of people are missing benefits because of that. So, let me throw this out there again. I like to repeat, a lot of these because people are missing benefits. What people often do is they say, "Hey, my spouse's benefit has to be twice my amount in order for me to get benefits for my spouse." And what they do is say, "Hey, John, how much are you receiving?" "Oh, I'm receiving $2,000. "Oh, I'm receiving 1,001. So I guess I can't get benefits on yours. Okay, let's go out to eat." But no, that's not the number you look at. John knows that you have to look at your PIA, your primary insurance amount, how much your benefit would have been if you waited. And so if you just look at the checks, you're looking at the monthly benefit amount, and maybe that's minus Medicare and all the rest of it. So you're looking at the wrong amount. How do you find the correct amount? You can go online and look at your, my social security account, or call up the 800 number and with both of you there and say, "Hey, how much is my PIA? How much is my husband's PIA?" "Oh, okay." And if they say, "Wow, there's $50 there, $500 there," then they will schedule you an appointment and get you going. So the new SSDI payment is 2826. I'm looking for that in 2025. Okay. All right. Yeah, the average is definitely not around there. So that's pretty good. So if you're receiving the disability for 2826, that means you worked a couple hours in your life. So awesome. Um, Prosecute fraud. Yes. Yep. We used to prosecute fraud in my office all the time. We had an office of the inspector general. Hey, Mike, Lance retired, but Mike, awesome guy. Yeah, he used to come into our office once a week, and we'd say, hey, we had this veterans doctor that was getting disability benefits and still working at the VA as a doctor. And yeah, so referees, a famous referee that you probably know about, a boxing referee, and so yeah, all kinds of crazy. We used to prosecute fraud all the time. So I vote eliminate the FICA cap. Yep. Did you say on another podcast that if you're a veteran, I and my wife are, that you can get extra money? How do I check? Yep, just call up Social Security and say, hey, did you include my military service when you calculated my benefits? And they will be able to tell you. I'm still waiting for trickle down to work. Reaganomics, please. Yes, yes. It's usually not water that trickles down. 2.5% should not be for the people who paid into Social Security. Yeah, so you're 2.5%. You're talking about the COLA increase for next year, but those numbers aren't. They're they're political, but they're not political. The COLA, cost of living adjustment. Um, The way it's currently calculated, it's not political. It's not a political thing because it's just the actuaries, the Department of Labor Statistics. They look at the third quarter of last year and then compare it to the third quarter of this year and say, okay, this basket of goods that we chose, they've been doing this for decades, went up 2.5%. Year before it went up 3.2%, year before 8.7%. And so that's how they do it. Their politicians don't get involved in that. What the politicians should get involved in, my estimate, my opinion, probably want to hear this, but is that those basket of goods are actually for younger workers. What they should do is look at a basket of goods for elderly people, which includes healthcare, because when you get older, more healthcare. And then it's estimated that you're like, if they did that, the cola for next year would probably be about 3, 4, maybe even 5%, because healthcare costs are so much. So we could make all government employees pay into it. They already do. Yeah. So you're talking about the old system that ended in the early 1980s, the civil service retirement system that didn't pay into FICA. But in terms, okay, um, let me correct myself. Federal government employees and politicians pay into FICA since the 1980s. My office, we had about 100 employees, and all but one, and she's now retired. They all pay into FICA. There are state, local, and city government employees, teachers, firefighters, police, so like in Texas and Southern Florida and Chicago area and Los Angeles and Vegas, that don't pay into it. And then there's a bill that just passed the House that's actually going to give them more money. And yeah, close to $183 billion early Christmas present to those local, state, and county employees that didn't pay that they did pay into Social Security. Let me make sure I'm that clear. They did pay into Social Security. They always call me out on this. Those people, those teachers in Florida and Texas did pay into Social Security, but their main jobs they didn't. So for being a teacher, they didn't pay into Social Security, but in the summer they did this other job and paid into Social Security, or when they were younger. But because of that, they are getting extra. They're getting basically twice as much as the rest of us schmoes, other teachers and firefighters that did pay into Social Security all the way across. And I did a video on this explaining all the details of that. So Elon Musk is hiring. He is paying six figures a year. Yeah. I yeah. If my I try not to play politics. You probably understand my politics is to save Social Security. That's it. Was it Shakespeare? We all, all the world's a stage, exits and entrances, and we all play many parts. But my part here is to just get you all benefits you're entitled to and see about saving Social Security and Medicare. So if Elon Musk or anybody wants to tap me, I'll work for free. So there seems to be several options to save the trust fund. No excuse. Yes, exactly. It just takes that political will. That's it. And I did a video on this. This is it. This is crunch time. And one of the political BS, stories politicians tell us is that, yeah, we would have done it, but we didn't have the House, or we would have done it, we didn't have the Senate, or we would have done it. Well, now one political party has it all. They have the House of Representatives, they have the Senate, they have the presidency, they have the Supreme Court, basically. So there's no more excuses. So this next 2 years, because the House of Representatives, continual election, 2 more years, there's another House of Representative election. So maybe they might lose the House. So now's the chance to, if they really want to save Social Security, then they've got to do it now. This next administration, and if they don't, we know they never did want to save Social Security. So when something about or something or get off the pot, right? Put your money where your mouth is, whatever. Maybe after 400,000 K, lower the contribution FICO a little bit for ultra rich, so it's more palatable for them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's definitely, yeah. And one of the arguments of that is, no, if we raise the cap and everybody pays the same amount as us regular people, then they're not going to get those benefits. So if you're making $10 million and you pay, the 6.2 and the other, because you're probably self-employed, you pay the other 6.2. You don't get those type of benefits back, which is true. None of us do. I did a video on this, how your benefits are calculated. They give you 90% of the first $1,000 or so, 32% of the next one, 15% of the next one. Watch my video on that, how your benefits are calculated. It's called, the video title is very provocative, I'm sorry, but it's Social Security is Welfare. And how it's calculated, it is. People that make a lot of money get less percentage than people that are low income. So that money goes to the low income. And my I made okay money. And my percentage, I've probably about 35% a replacement rate, and other people get 90%. And why am I only getting 35%? Why I'm not getting 90%? Because the other 90%, those people need a lot extra money. So I've got no problem giving up, 10, 15, 20% or so. That's how it's been done since 1979. But people are amazed that they didn't. Most people, 99% of people are unaware that that's how the calculations are done. So if the ultra rich, we just add another bin point. Instead of 90%, 32%, 15%, we add another one, 0.0001%. And they get a dog park named after them or something. I don't know. Deb, I got married to a second hubby in 2005. First hubby, I was married 19. Oh, okay. All right. So let's see. We already had a cut in our lifetime. It's unfair. Yeah, the when they raise the retirement age, that's a 13% cut. Yes, raise the cap. Wouldn't let migrants and Ukraine get free SSI if he was here. Um, so SSI, supplemental security income, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. That comes out of the regular trust fund. We're talking about saving Social Security, the Social Security Trust Fund and FICA. SSI comes out of the general fund. So some people said, well, we just need to, stop giving money to this country, that country. Well, that's okay. But we've also got $35 trillion in debt. So if we're going to stop giving money to country X or whatever, or people X, then maybe we should pay down the debt, which is about 600 billion a year in interest. But today we're talking about Social Security. And since 1935, Social Security has been a separate system, a pay-as-you-go system. The money that's come in goes to people that are receiving Social Security, not SSI. SSI is completely different. If we want to donate money from the general trust fund to Social Security to share it up, I guess that's a discussion we'll have. But it's let's just focus on Social Security alone rather than the general debt. There needs to be a plan to protect the people who have to depend on Social Security benefits as their only financial resources, because a lot of private companies aren't offering pensions these days. Yes. When Social Security was started by FDR in 1935, the whole thing was supposed to be a three-legged stool where you'd have your pension, and you'd have your savings, and then you'd have your Social Security. But you get these financial crises in 2008 and stuff. Your savings and a lot of people have a really low income, so savings pretty much don't exist for a lot of people. Pensions pretty much gone out the door, and so now it's just a Social Security. So it's kind of, I don't know. They would call it one-legged stool. I call it maybe a pogo stick or something, right? So. Chapter is great. Okay, awesome. Thank you for letting me know. I'm keeping an eye on them, and so far they're doing an outstanding job helping y'all. My son and I looked throughout the country for a place that would help you out with all things Medicare, your Medicare Advantage, Medicare supplements, Part D, and all that kind of stuff. And so far we are 100% happy with them. So good. We're keeping an eye on you guys. Means tests, elimination FICA cap, increase FICA on tax, those making 250,000, no more choosing which X you get survivor benefits from, means test survivor benefits. Wow. I think all of those, if we did all of those, based on all the studies I've seen, that would make Social Security good for forever. Yeah, because you're not only eliminating the FICA cap, which is that gets you about 85%. I've seen different studies, but then increasing the FICA tax above and beyond. And then that's how they do Medicare. So with Medicare, everybody pays 1.545%, and then the other 1.45%. And if you make over a certain amount, over $200,000, you pay an extra 0.9%. So, and then the world didn't come to an end when they eliminated the cap on Medicare, and the world didn't come into an end when they eliminated the cap on Medicare and added an extra percentage for those making over $200,000. And y'all probably never heard of that, right? So yeah, yeah. So those all of those solutions together would cover 100%, and our Social Security would be here for our kids and grandkids and great grandchildren and all the rest of it. So I got a bill related to my parent who died in 76. My younger neighbor got a bill related to her parent who died when she was a child. Is this common? Yeah, I'm not sure about that. But what I'm thinking maybe, yeah, this happens every now and then. If someone was receiving Social Security benefits, let's say in the 1970s, 80s, 90s, whenever, and somehow there's an overpayment on that person's record, the last check, somebody cashed it, wasn't supposed to, and there's like $500 left over there overpayment. If 20 years later, 30 years later, you go and collect on that work record, on that Social Security number, then that overpayment is still there, and the Social Security computer system automatically kicks out a letter that says, "Hey, you owe us $500." Um, so that does happen. So those are easy to waive. You request a reconsideration or a waiver, and they usually delete those. So that's good. Um, Thank you. I get regular retirement, but I am disabled and don't get Social Security disability. I get medical too and government housing, so I might sleep in my car. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, make sure you join my thing on Saturday, and with the 50 some programs I talk about, and I know y'all are gonna add all the programs in your area. Yes, I know you'll be able to find something. So you can move to other countries on disability. Yes, there's two you can't is North Korea and Cuba. So, but if you're receiving SSI, there's more limitations. But if you're just receiving regular retirement benefits or disability benefits or survivor benefits or spouse benefits, yeah, you can move into any country. If you're a U.S. citizen, there's no limitations. If you're a green card holder, there is a program on the Social Security website. It's called Payments Abroad Screening Tool. So if you're a green card holder, make sure you go in there and it'll ask you, okay, what country are you going to move into? Because Social Security has what's called totalization agreements with other countries that we kind of recognize in some respects their Social Security system, and they recognize our Social Security system. So you have to check it out there. Let's see. If I retire at 62 on my husband's credits, will it still be half or will it be reduced for early retirement? It will be reduced. Yeah. So you're looking at about, instead of up to 50%, you'll receive 32.5% if you do it at 62 years old. Pamela, I need disability due to my two open back surgeries, but my doctor was a non disability doctor. I tried 3 times, anyways, turned down all 3 times. I don't work. Yeah, um, yeah, the Social Security, determines whether you have the ability to work, and they base it on, whatever doctors, you provide them. Make sure you watch my videos on filing for disability, all the tips, tricks, and secrets I learned over decades of filing for disability. So, it is my understanding, is it that immigrants pay into our Social Security but do not receive benefits? That is correct. Yeah, that's another things that politicians try to do to divide us and to distract us and say, yeah, these illegals are receiving money from Social Security and that's why the trust fund is going empty. No, that's incorrect. Because I've taken hundreds of thousands of retirement claims, and it's kind of like, when you go into an application and there's a little red thing that says you have to fill out this. If you fill it out, you cannot move to the next page. That's Social Security. That's a Social Security computer system. It's called MCS, the Modernized Claim System. It's not modernized. It's based on Fortran and COBOL. But anyway, If the person was not born in the United States or not a US citizen, you have to put their alien number and all that kind of stuff in there, and you have to check it, make sure it's valid, and if they're not in the country legally, you can't move on to the next screen. And if you can't move on to the next screen, you can't move on to the next one and the next one and push the button so the money goes out. So it's impossible um, for people that are not in the country legally to get Social Security retirement benefits. It's just a fact. But yes, they actually do pay. The last I've seen is they give for all taxes because there's a lot of people that get fake Social Security cards. They go down to your local swap meet. I bet you go to your local swap meet, you can get a fake Social Security card. And so they work under that. And what should happen is the employer is supposed to check that Social Security number with the Social Security Administration. There's a program that they use to check. But, you know, these companies, they want the free, the cheap labor so they can fire you because you're costing them too much. They, get these cheaper places, cheaper people. And they don't check the Social Security number. They're supposed to, but they don't because they want that extra money in their pocket. So these people work under fake Social Security numbers and they pay FICA taxes and state taxes and federal taxes, but they will never get it back. Can never get it back unless they become legal somehow in the future. So yeah, so that's another distraction politicians do. They say, "Hey, your money is being given to this group or that country," and it's all just a distraction, and we keep falling for it. So I think we need to, yeah, we need to be smarter than those guys. Does having a will made out to make the survivor benefit process easier? Thanks for all you do. You're welcome. Nope, doesn't help. Doesn't make it easier at all. No, if you're entitled to those benefits, and people always complain about me using the word entitlement. Google the definition of entitlement. There's several definitions, but you're thinking of a different definition. You're entitled to those benefits. So if you were married to the person for 10 years or married to them when they passed and you were, sick, married for at least 9 months, there's a couple exceptions there, then you're entitled to those benefits. You don't need a will or anything like that. You just need the marriage certificate, divorce decree, death certificate, or whatever the case may be. Got his disability within a year, but went through an attorney. Awesome. Good deal. Within a year. That's pretty good. And that's another social media myth going out there that everybody's denied for disability the first time. And please stop repeating it because you're really hurting people that really need to file for disability and they're already financially strapped and stressed and worried about their disability. And they hear, "Oh, I just denied anyway. So why file? I'm going to be denied anyway." And that just does a disservice. I've uh, through medical approvals, I've adjudicated and approved thousands of claims within one day, tens of thousands within a week. So it really depends on disability. Yes, some of them were denied that. I thought, what? Why did they deny that? Some of them were approved. I'm like, but I'm not a medical doctor, so I don't know. So Medicare plans have not been canceled. Advantage plan. Yes. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Did I say Medicare plans? Oh, thank you for that correction. Yes. Medicare Advantage plans and Part D prescription drug plans. Yes. Thank you. I might have misspoke there without adding that extra word in there. Yes, close to 2 million Medicare Advantage plans and Part D plans have been canceled for 2025, and it's basically the insurance companies look at particular parts of the country and they say, "Wow, in this part of the country, we're never going to make money on these people, so we're just going to cancel them." So done, bye. And then other parts of the country are like, I bet you if we, reduce benefits for these people or charge these people more for a night in the hospital or more for an MRI or more for a specialist, then we can probably make money on these people. So they keep the plan, but they downgrade it. And unless you look at the details of your plan for next year, a lot of people don't realize your plans are only good for 1 year. Medicare Advantage and prescription drugs. So thank you, Andy, for keeping me honest on that. But yeah, and they know 70% of the people don't check their plans, and so health insurance companies, think they're smart. But again, I have great confidence in the American people. Yeah. Anyway, we've, as what Winston Churchill said, Americans always make the right decision after they've exhausted all of their possibilities. So yeah, we always do everything wrong, and yeah, and then eventually we get it right. So I'm waiting for that eventuality. I'm on original Medicare, so can go to any participating provider. If assigned to an accountability group, am I limited to only the providers in the account? Yeah, yeah, I'm not sure about accountability group and all that, but in terms of original Medicare, and if a Medicare supplement, those are the plans F, G, and N. You can go to any doctor in the country that takes Medicare. That's why a lot of people like the Medicare supplements. Keep an original Medicare and having a Medicare supplement because they can go anywhere they want. They don't have to get approvals or there's no networks. They just go to the doctor, and if it's medically necessary, then they're done. So if you have original Medicare, then you can go to any doctor that takes Medicare, and but obviously that doctor has to be taking new patients. So yes, I'm pushing 60 on disability on my spouse's employer plan, over 100 employees, first payer. Employer says if I'm eligible for Medicare Part B and don't take it, then they will become second payer. Yeah, okay, yeah, that unfortunately happens. Um, so it's not mandatory from Social Security. Social Security is not going to penalize you, the penalty because you didn't sign up for Medicare when you're supposed to, but it sounds like they are. So, so that means if, Part B covers 80%. So if you go and get $100,000 Band-Aid, then, Medicare is going to cover it and you have to pay the other 20%. If you don't get it, then the company is going to say, "Hey, we're not going to pay that because Medicare should have paid it. So guess what? You have to pay it." Yeah. Let's see. Time I just checked my Medicare. They already issued my card. I turned 65 in March 2025. They already issued your card. Wow, that was quick. Usually it's about 100 days, 3 months before. 3 months before it's March. Oh, okay. Okay. That's about So okay, I guess that's about time-ish. So now, yeah, I just have to figure out what you're going to do with everything else in terms of the Medicare plan, whether you're going to get a Medicare supplement, a Medicare Advantage plan, your Part D, and all the rest of it. So it's time to check all that out and reach out to Chapter, and they'll help you out. All right, we got tons and tons of questions, tons of recommendations. So, if the government shuts down, do payments continue? Yes, as of right now, since 1935, that's taken place. I've ran the third business office, and every time we had a government shutdown, Social Security checks kept coming. There were things that we could no longer do. Social Security cards we couldn't do because we didn't have a budget for that, and some other things that we couldn't do. Um, but in terms of checks, yeah, they'll still keep coming. But I guess maybe 2 years from now, I might say, well, I thought they were going to keep coming, but Congress is paid off by the wealthy. They hope we die before we collect anything we paid. Yeah, they are. I mean, both parties are definitely beholden to the because it's the endless reelection. House of Representatives, as soon as they win, the next day they essentially get back on the phones and say, "I need money for the next 2 years." So yeah, so it's before Social Security, my one bedroom was $400 a month, nice place. Now on Social Security, rent almost 1,000. Can't enjoy your benefits. Yeah, you get more benefits. A lot of people, when they get the COLA, they're like, "Wow, 2.5%, but that put me over $11 for Medicaid. Now I lost $400 of health benefits from Medicaid because I went $11 over because of the 2.5%." Yeah, so there is one proposal out there that they're saying, "Hey, why is it on or off and things like that? Why isn't there more of a gradation?" Like if you're, $5 over and you lose $400, maybe if you're $500 or $5 over, maybe not, you don't turn the whole thing off. It's just reduced benefits. But yeah, that's advanced government, and a lot of politicians are not. They're more, yeah. Anyway, all right, I'm going to shut up. All right, that is it. I'm over an hour there. I am going to send this, or you can send this to your politicians and Elon Musk and President-elect Trump or President Biden or whoever, and say, "Hey, here's what it looks like in terms of the people out there, what their recommendations are on saving Social Security." So we're watching you, Congress. We're watching you, President-elect Trump. We're watching everybody. We always have been, but we've been taking a vacation for the past 20 years, I guess, and now we need to